It began with a knock. Not the polite kind that waits for patience, but the kind that keeps hammering until your heartbeat syncs with it. I shuffled to the door, still in pajama pants, crumbs of overcooked toast stuck to my fingers. When I opened it, there she was. My wife, Lila, dressed like a movie star in a silver gown, mascara smudged just enough to suggest drama, not accident. She didn't even look at me. She brushed past, muttering something about forgetting her spare shoes, as if I were nothing but the doorman of her life. No hello, no kiss, no question about my day. Just perfume and panic swirling behind her as she stormed upstairs. It was the fourth time that week she'd barged in like a stranger grabbing her belongings before vanishing into some glittering event I wasn't invited to. Supposedly gala dinners, work functions, brunches with the girls. But the night before, I saw a picture online. Her friends posted a group photo. Smiles, champagne glasses, designer handbags. Everyone was there. Everyone except her. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I just kept chewing my burnt toast, pretending I was still part of a marriage that had already slipped into a different orbit. That evening, she texted me. Just 5 words. Meet me at 8. Crestfall Hotel Ballroom. Surprise a surprise? Lila hadn't surprised me since 2016. Back then, it was a handwritten note tucked inside a cake box. I cried for days, thinking love was still alive. Now I expected nothing sweet, only answers. I ironed nothing. I wore an old button-down, shoes with tired laces. I wanted her to see me as I was, the version of me she had been ignoring for years. The ballroom was thunder. Laughter ricocheted off mirrored walls, crystal glasses sparkled under chandeliers, and every face turned toward her. Lila was on stage, microphone in hand, spotlight kissing her like a lover. She smiled wide. Before we move on, I have something personal to share, she announced. And then, without hesitation, she called my name. The crowd shifted. Eyes pierced me like courtroom jurors. I walked forward slowly, every step echoing against marble. I have given everything, she said, her gaze locked on me, but her words aimed at them. But sometimes 2 people grow apart. Sometimes one person carries all the weight while the other watches from the sidelines, gasps. Nervous laughter. People looked at me as if I were already guilty of crimes unspoken. And then she dropped the line like it was part of a theater script. I'm giving him a choice right now. Stay and listen, or walk away. Silence. You could hear the hum of the air vents. Someone whispered, "She's really doing this." My throat burned. My hands trembled. But I knew in that instant exactly what to do. No speech, no begging, no performance. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my keys, and let them jingle as I walked. 1 step. She didn't flinch. 2 steps. She didn't call my name. 3 steps. She smiled. By the 5th, I opened the heavy door and walked out. Past applause, past camera phones, past the world I thought was mine. That could have been the end. But it wasn't. Because outside those golden doors, the night stretched long, and the truth had just begun to crawl toward me. I wandered the streets like a ghost with nowhere to haunt. I didn't want to go home. Home wasn't mine anymore. I sat on a park bench, keys still in my hand, city lights buzzing above like cruel stars. My phone vibrated. 5 messages, 4 from people at the gala, pity texts, awkward notes about how brave she was, how messy it felt, and 1 from an unknown number. You don't know me, but you need to see this. She's not who you think. Attached was a video. I almost dropped the phone before pressing play. There she was, same silver gown, same fake smile, but not on stage. This was backstage, hours earlier, with a man I recognized from her office, the one with the perfect jaw and arrogant stance, his hands on her waist, her lips close to his ear. "Are you sure he'll walk?" she whispered. He smirked. "If not, we'll make him." My stomach turned to stone. My chest tightened. This wasn't love dying. This wasn't 2 people drifting apart. This was choreography, a setup, a trap designed to humiliate me publicly, to make me erase myself so she could walk away spotless. And I I had walked right into the role they scripted for me. But grief has a breaking point. Mine cracked open that night. I saved the video. I didn't call her. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. For once, I wasn't going to let her dictate the stage. I would wait, watch, let her believe she had won. And then I'd rewrite the ending. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on that cold bench until the first train rattled past and the sky bled pale gray. My body begged for rest, but my mind refused to shut down. Every second replayed, her smile as I walked away, the smug tilt of his head in that video. By morning, I knew I couldn't go back home. Home was just another stage she'd already claimed. Instead, I dragged myself across town to the only door I thought might still open for me, my old friend, Mark. We hadn't been close lately. Life had pulled us apart, the way it does when relationships, jobs, and new routines swallow old rituals. But I remembered his words years ago, half drunk over cheap whiskey. If everything ever blows up, you've got my couch. He opened the door in a hoodie, hair messy from sleep. For a moment I saw the old Mark, the one who'd stayed up until dawn gaming with me, the one who used to call my wife untouchable. "Jesus, man," he said softly, stepping aside. "Come in." I told him the short version, the gala, the public humiliation, the video. His face tightened, but he didn't interrupt. He didn't say, "I told you so." He just slid a mug of coffee toward me and said, "Then you can't sit back. Whatever she's planning, you've got to get ahead of it." Before I could answer, his doorbell buzzed. Too early for deliveries, too precise to be random. Mark frowned, went to answer. A courier stood there holding a large white envelope. Addressed to me. No return address. My stomach churned as I tore it open. Inside was a photograph. Lila again, in another embrace with the man from the video, time-stamped 6 months earlier. Long before the gala, long before her staged performance. And beneath the photo, a typed letter. "Since you've chosen to walk away, I assume you understand. The house is mine. The lawyer will send the papers soon. Cooperate quietly. There's no point dragging this out. Let's keep it simple." L. That phrase. Keep it simple. It wasn't hers, not the woman I'd known for 10 years. It sounded like something rehearsed, written to intimidate, not explain. Mark leaned over my shoulder, jaw tightening. "She's erasing you, man. That's what this is. If you vanish quietly, she wins." His words sparked something in me I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth to stand taller than her lies. But truth hides in shadows, and shadows were everywhere. That night, when Mark fell asleep on the couch, I remembered something. An old iPad we used to share for bills and calendars, buried in a drawer, forgotten. I had tossed it into my bag when I left home, not even thinking. I pulled it out, battery still alive, and with it, her synced accounts, emails, photos, calendar invites. Within minutes, her private world unfolded in my hands. There were boardroom briefings scheduled in hotel addresses. No meeting links, no agendas, just vague entries at 7 p.m. I checked her photo archive, hidden folders disguised with names like grocery list. Inside were selfies, locations, timestamps, pictures of the same man, arm around her waist, their faces glowing in hotel mirrors. All those nights, she said, "Working late, don't wait up." And I had believed her. But it wasn't just the affair. That would have been easier. It was the way she documented everything, as if she were preparing evidence, not memories. Emails confirmed it. 6 weeks before the gala, she'd written to a realtor. Subject line, timeline for transition. She was already buying a condo in her own name. In the thread, she wrote, "The divorce will be handled cleanly." He won't fight back. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was a predictable variable in her plan. Mark stirred, walking back into the kitchen. I slammed the iPad shut, heart racing. "You okay?" he asked, his voice casual. I forced a nod, but my chest felt tight, because before he entered, I had seen something else. An email sent the night of the gala, hours after I left. Subject, Phase 2. Recipient, Mark. My vision blurred. My hands shook. The message was short but lethal. He walked just like you said. Don't mention the condo yet, I'll handle it. If he asks questions, play dumb. Make sure he doesn't check the iPad. Let's keep it clean. The words cut deeper than any affair. My wife's betrayal was poison. But this was the knife slipped between my ribs by the friend I thought had saved me. I excused myself, walked to the bathroom, locked the door, stared at my own reflection. My face looked like a stranger's. I wasn't a husband. I wasn't a friend. I was a mark, a pawn. A man managed and manipulated while others rewrote the story of my life. But pawns can become something else if they survive the board. At midnight, I slipped out of Mark's apartment with the iPad and envelope in my bag. I didn't slam the door. I didn't leave a note. I didn't need confrontation yet. What I needed was leverage. And there was one person who had warned me years ago, one person Lila always underestimated, her sister Claire. I sent a single message. I need to talk. Urgent. Her reply came in less than 2 minutes. Come over. I've been waiting for this day. And that was the night I realized the betrayal wasn't just between husband and wife. It was a network, a design, a stage. But Claire, she was about to burn the curtains down. Claire's apartment didn't pretend to be anything it wasn't. White walls, plants that thrived in honest light, a wooden table scarred by real conversations. She opened the door without ceremony and stepped aside. Took you long enough, she said. No hug, no pity. Just a chair and a glass of water waiting at the table. I emptied my bag, the envelope, the photo, the iPad, the letter with that cold line. Keep it simple. I told her about the ballroom, the staged ultimatum, the video from the unknown sender, the emails, and Mark's betrayal neatly labeled Phase 2. Claire listened the way surgeons listen, eyes sharp, hands still. When I finished, she didn't gloat. She slid open a drawer and placed a small wooden box between us. I didn't stop watching when she started vanishing from the family, she said. I knew something was coming. Inside the box were screenshots, printed text threads, a thumb drive, a crumpled envelope with notarized stamps. Claire walked me through it, missed doctor appointments for their mother, stories Lila spun to relatives about me, smothering her ambition, exaggerated titles at work that didn't exist, money moved between accounts that didn't belong to her alone. Then Claire took a breath. Do you remember your great-aunt's estate? The inheritance that never came through? I asked. It came through, she said evenly. Both your names were listed. Lila signed for it, solo. And there's a signature next to hers that isn't yours. My vision swam. It wasn't just humiliation. It wasn't even just the affair. It was theft. It was the replacement of my life in careful increments while I was still living in it. Claire tapped the thumb drive. I know someone who can make this talk. The next afternoon, we sat across from a woman who looked like she could read balance sheets the way meteorologists read storms. Her name was Clarissa Bell, a forensic financial investigator with a reputation for finding the one thread that unravels the entire sweater. Claire had worked with her years ago on a friend's custody case. Clarissa didn't waste anyone's heartbeats. She plugged in the drive, scanned the email chains, the calendar obfuscations, the wire confirmations, the inheritance paperwork. She's confident, Clarissa said, eyes moving quickly. Confident people leave footprints. We laid out the strategy, not loud and dramatic, but clinical. 1. Freeze shared accounts citing evidence of misappropriation tied to the inheritance. 2. Seek an injunction halting the condo purchase. Clear proof of a premeditated marital asset shift done under concealment. 3rd, file notice with the court including the forged signature and the timeline demonstrating orchestration. 4. Send preservation letters to her employer and the realtor. No more deleted messages. No convenient phone changes. Timing matters, Clarissa said. She's built an audience for her story. We'll build an audience for the facts. Within 72 hours, the first domino fell. The bank enacted a temporary freeze pending review. The realtor, suddenly shy, paused the condo transaction until parties resolved internal matters. Lila didn't know it yet, but the floorboards under her script were loosening. Mark called twice. I let the phone ring. He texted, "I didn't have a choice. She promised she'd clear my debt." I stared at the words until they meant nothing, then set the phone face down and kept moving. A week after the gala, Lila messaged like nothing had happened. "Can we meet? Talk like adults, no drama. Closure. That word again, closure, like a scented wipe for a crime scene." I chose the location. A quiet place with plain tables and clear windows, the kind of place where lies feel overdressed. She arrived immaculate, as if untouched by oxygen. Her voice was soft, rehearsed, almost tender. "We don't have to fight," she said. "I've discussed terms with my attorney. I think you'll find them fair." I placed a folder between us and slid it across. Inside, the account freeze order, the injunction on the condo, a summary of Clarissa's findings, and the inheritance documents with the forged signature highlighted like a bruise. Her smile stiffened. The temperature at the table changed. "You don't want to do this," she said. "No," I answered. "But you did." For the first time since this began, I saw it. Not guilt, not sorrow, fear, not of losing me, but of losing control. She stood to leave, then sat back down. She reached for a new script and came up empty. The filings moved quickly. Clarissa's reports were surgical. Dates, dollar amounts, timelines that cross-stitched into a picture even a patient judge could see in grayscale. Lila tried her charm. Then she tried indignation. Then she tried tears that rolled like well-trained actors. None of it worked on paper. The condo deal collapsed. The realtor, under subpoena, turned over emails referencing a clean exit and predated budget assumptions. Our bank records told their own story. The court reopened the inheritance distribution, ultimately ordering return of my half-plus damages for the forged consent. Somewhere in there, Mark received his own subpoena. After that, he slipped out of my life without a word, like a stagehand exiting through a trap door. In hearings, Lila's lawyer started strong but wilted when Clarissa laid out the choreography. The invites disguised as briefings, the step-down transfers under thresholds, the Phase 2 coordination with a third party who played dumb. It wasn't scandal that moved the judge. It was the arithmetic. When it ended, it didn't end with a bang. It ended with signatures and stamps, and the quiet authority of orders that cannot be charmed. The narrative Lila built had nowhere left to perform. Afterward, silence came like clean air after a storm. I found a small cottage outside the city, a place with a chipped blue door and a narrow porch that sloped toward a lake I hadn't known existed. Claire helped me paint the railing the color of calm. We planted tomatoes that went crooked and stubbornly red. On some Sundays, she'd show up with pie and a story that made the kitchen feel like a place where truth could sit without flinching. I kept the iPad, wiped clean, not as a trophy, but as a reminder. Don't outsource your life to someone else's narrative. I changed my number. I changed the locks inside my head. I learned the sound a room makes when it belongs to you again. Will I fall in love again? Maybe, maybe not. That's no longer the point. The point is, I am no longer a character in somebody else's script. I show up as myself, even if my shirt is wrinkled and my hands still smell like soil from a tomato plant that refuses to grow straight. As for Lila, people like her don't vanish. They fade, the lights go down, the audience leaves, the makeup comes off. The mirror reflects what remains when there's no one left to clap. If you've read this far, maybe you know the tightness in the throat when someone tries to erase you in public, hoping you'll cooperate with your own disappearance. Here's what I learned. You're allowed to walk away, not as surrender, but as authorship. You get to keep your voice, your name, your quiet mornings, and your keys.